Hi, my name is Heather Larkin, and I am a Sigma ambassador currently. That means that every once in a while I get to review lenses before they're released. This week, it is the new 24 to 72. So the old one versus the new one. What's going to win? I'm interested to find out. So we've got the 24 to 71 versus the 24 to 72 version. And the newer version is about 100 grams lighter than the older version. It is 7 millimeters shorter than the older version, and it's a little bit slimmer too, you can see. So you can see that the newer version has the aperture ring at the bottom where the older one did not. It also has an extra AEL button for vertical shooting if you'd like. I'd say build quality is exactly what I would expect from an art line lens, and they don't feel really much different in the hand. So I have my Sony a7R5, and I'm going to do an autofocus speed test on each lens to see if the new one is any faster. So I have the older version on the camera first, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the autofocus speed. I'm going to get something across the room, and then I'm going to focus on something close and see how long that takes. I am recording my phone screen so that you can see exactly what I'm seeing in here. That sounds amazing. All right, so let's do that. Across the room, and then that's autofocused, and then close. Across the room, and close. 1, 2. I'd say that's pretty decently fast. I mean, that's what I'm used to. So let's put on the other newer lens and see if it's any faster. All right, so this is the new 24 to 72 version. So let's across the room and close. Oh, wait a second. No way. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's way faster than I expected it to be. Oh, are you guys seeing this? I'm seeing that. That's super fast. That's like immediate. Well, that's a lot faster than I expected. So that's pretty great. I'm pleased with that. Very pleased. Very pleased. Okay, so for this next test, we're going to check close focusing because I like to use my lenses for close-up stuff, including flowers, bugs, whatever, and I want to know how far away do I have to be from my subject. Minimum focus distance. Again, I am recording the phone now, and we're going to see exactly what we've got. Now, I have a foot on the side of the thing, so I'm going to have to put it on the edge of the table like this so that it's level. So what we're going to do is we're going to manually focus at its closest point. I'm going to put it on the edge of the table, and then we're going to slide the subject back and forth in front of it until it is focused correctly. It's not very scientific, but I figure if we're going to be using this in the field, we're not going to be out in the garden or whatever with a ruler checking to see our minimum focus distance. So this is good enough for me, I think. So we've got this, and we're just going to slide it close until it's in focus. And I'm checking this on the phone here. There it is. Okay, so I mean that's pretty close. This is at 24 millimeters. So that's like an inch off the front of the glass. So now we're going to see if the newer one can get any closer. What do we think? There we go. And now we're just going to slide this in just like we did at its minimum and make sure that it's in focus at 24 millimeters. So that looks a little shorter off the front of the glass, but I'm not going to expect a huge difference because it's really only a centimeter from the old version to the new version. And now we're going to do the same thing at 70 millimeters instead. Check the minimum focus distance of that because I want to know. How far away do we need to slide this for it to be in focus? Obviously, 70 millimeters is going to be different from the closer 24 millimeters, but how far away until we achieve focus? Probably about 8 or 9 inches off the front of glass-ish. That's not bad. I mean, that's what I know from working with this lens. All right, the newer version at 70 millimeters. How far do I have to back this up before it's in focus? Let's find out. There it is. Oh, there it is. That's actually shorter by a good margin than the older version. I expected it to be further out, but it's really not. So that's the minimum focus test for these lenses. Next up, let's look at bokeh. Okay, so next up, I'm going to compare the two lenses in terms of bokeh, and let's look at the autofocus elements in the image. So I've got a little tree set up with some fairy lights, and I'll put my subject in front of it, and we can see what the autofocus elements in back look like and make sure that we like how they look. So I've currently got the older version set up. So we're going to take a look at it at 2.8, and then we're going to bring that to 4.5. And you can see that the little bubbles in the back change size, but they also change shape a little bit. So now let's put the newer lens on and see how we like it. At 4.5 there. And then we'll take it down to 2.8 and see if it looks any different. So we know the minimum focus distance at 70 millimeters is a little further away, so I had to back up. So I've got the older version on, and we're at 2.8. And I'm going to take that picture. I really like the way that looks. It's very pretty. And then we're going to come into 4.5 and see it again. Now I'm going to take the lens off, put on the new one, and compare them. At 70, autofocus. At 4.5, and again at 2.8. Do we see a difference? So now we're going to compare the two lenses on a tripod outside of my studio. I can't compare them very well if I don't have a tripod because hand-holding doesn't create the same picture. So I've got the newer version on right now, and I'm at 70, and I'm taking a picture of this hydrangea. And then we're going to take this off, and Sigma loves it when I do this. Oh yeah. And it's 70 again, and autofocus, and it should be similar, if not nearly identical. Let's take a look. Back and forth. Oh yeah. They're nearly the same. I would guess that these are taken with the exact same lens if I didn't know any better. Although I'm kind of feeling like the newer version might be a little sharper. So that's a bonus in its favor. For this next one, I've got the same kind of plant, but I wanted to see what it did with a lighter background in the back and a higher aperture. So at 4.5 with brightness in the background. And now let's see what the next one looks like. Oh yeah, back on the ground. Put that on at 70. Autofocus. 4.5 on the new one. And let's take a look at that. Pretty much the same. Although I really do feel like the highlights are different and the sharpness is different. I like it. I like it very much. And for this next one, we're going to look at the entire scene where it has some darks and a bunch of very light lights and see how that does. At 4.5 on the older version. And let's swap them and see. At 4.5 on the newer version. Let's see what we think. So that ends our field test outside. Let's go back in and compare the images we got on the laptop. Okay, so what we've got is the images on the computer, and I'm going to run through and we're going to compare them a little bit side by side, as well as look at some images that I took without comparing the lenses, without having to switch back and forth, and I could just see what the new lens felt like to use. So here's the first image of our outdoor field test, and you can see this is with the DGDN1. You can see that it says Art 019. And I'll tell you a little secret. The 019 means that this lens was released in 2019. So you can see Art 024 means that this lens is going to be released in 2024. Nice. I like that. A little bit of trivia there. Anyway, so what we've got is we've got these two images, and I'm just going to flip back and forth between the two of them. And honestly, I probably could not tell that these were taken with different lenses. It just looks like the wind is blowing a little bit, which is what I would expect. I don't expect it to have a very different look because they're the same lens, just newer, better, faster, sharper, updated. So let's take a look at these two images side by side. And I'm going to zoom in, and you can see that the original is, in my opinion, just slightly less sharp. And I would definitely expect the newer version to be slightly sharper. Just because it's been 5 years since the older one came out, there's been a lot of technology advances, so I would definitely anticipate the newer one being a little bit sharper, but the older one is still an amazing lens, and I wouldn't expect it to be that much sharper, which is exactly what we're seeing. So these next two images, again, they look the same to me, and they should, because the older version is still an amazing lens. It has been an amazing lens, and the newer version is just faster and slightly sharper. All right, so this third image is the one where I backlit it purposefully to see how the lens compensated for that, and back and forth. I said outside that I think the highlights are different, but I think that's just because the sun came out. So I don't necessarily know that they are any different at all. I don't think so. Let's compare these two side by side. Now, I didn't line it up as well, but you can see that the newer version is, again, just slightly sharper. You've got this up here and this down here, and I would expect it to be just slightly sharper, and it totally is. Okay, and last, we've got the full scene and the full scene with the newer lens. Now, you'll notice up here that I did not zoom all the way out with the older lens. It's at 26.3 instead of 24. So don't compare the field of view with this one because that's my error. But just comparing the two of them, I would say I still see the same highlights and shadows in both of them. Let's look at the sharpness and bokeh. Now I focused on this flower, and we'll just kind of scroll around in the image and see if anything is monumentally different. Oh, that is. Oh. Okay, so the newer version, I'm seeing quite a bit more sharpness in these leaves here, as well as in the tree in the background. That's pretty neat. They're both at 4.5. They're both at the same shutter speed, but the newer version just looks crispier, which, ooh, I like. Oh, I like that. Yeah, it just seems to have a little bit more oomph in the background. It's not as flat, which I very much enjoy. And now for the images that I took by myself without swapping back and forth, because I just wanted to see how this lens felt like to use. And I can tell you it is very much like a happier version of the one I already have, which is kind of silly to say, but I really enjoyed using it. I like how it handles. I like the close focusing. I like the softness in the colors. It just is, like I said, it's a happier version of the one I already have. So let's take a look. I've got two foxgloves here, and this is the new version. All of these are the new version at 24 versus 70 to see the field of view. So you can see up here, this is 70, and then there's the 24 version. I think the colors are exactly the same. You can see that inside the flower, they're pretty much identical, but you get a wider field of view, and it seems like more contrast at 24, but I think that's just because we have darker shadows in the background. Okay, so we've got 24, well, 25 versus 70. And if I zoom in on this one, you can see even at 24, all of those little hairs are completely sharp. Love it. All right, so we've got 24 versus 70. Now, this one, I had trouble with getting out of my own light because the lens focuses so closely at 24 millimeters. I kept getting in my own way, and I had to find something that would allow me to show you this without having a big old shadow in the middle of it because the lens had blocked the light. So both of these, 24 versus 70. And again, 26, because I didn't zoom all the way out, versus 70. Bokeh is different, field of view is different, but all in all, very similar. Now, this next shot is where I was really surprised at how different they are, because we've got 70 here, and then here's the 24. Now, the 24, we remember, focuses closer, but it also focuses closer within the lens. So I can fill the frame at 24 more than I can fill the frame at 70, which is very interesting. And for me, this 24 image says a lot more in a storyline than the 70 image does. Like, it just looks neater. So I redid that shot at 70 at a 7.1 aperture, and you can see that all of the little everything on these pine needles is absolutely tack sharp and crisp, just like I would expect. All right, here's 70 with an allium and 24 with the same allium. And honestly, I kind of just got a little carried away with it because I liked it so much. So here's the 24 version and the 70. All I did was stand there and zoom in a little bit. And this one I think is very interesting. So this is 24. And then I made sure to kind of get the same-ish, filling the frame. But even at 70, further away, it's still incredibly sharp. And there it is at 24, super duper sharp. I really like how much you can see at 24 and how much you can exclude at 70. I like it. So here is my local botanical gardens, and I haven't edited these. I wanted you to see exactly what the color looks like straight out of the camera. And I just enjoy, you can see the whole scene here. There's more of the botanical gardens. Nice bouquet at 70. Nice bouquet at 70. Nice bouquet at 70. Like, I really liked using this lens. It's very pretty with the flowers. At 24, you get more of the architecture and you can include more of the scene, which I love as well. This is an amazing, all around great working day trip lens. I use mine all the time in the studio here for like backdrop stuff, but I think I need to take it out more and use it at the botanical gardens as well because it's just a nice, like I said, it's a nice day trip lens. I feel like it would be a perfect lens for a vacation. So we got peonies, we've got alliums. The botanical garden went wild with the foxgloves and alliums this year, and I love it. Just a gentle, soft picture. Here's some blue-eyed grass, some willows, and you get the idea. This is a great all-around, super sharp, super fast, joy to use, lovely lens. And that's it for this video comparing the older 24-70 with the newer version 24-72. At the time of this recording, I do not know the cost of the newer version of the 24-70, so you get to make up your own mind on whether or not you will be upgrading 24-71 or 24-72. Your choice. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.